Today in this video, I will tell you 25 surprising technology facts that you didn't know. Technology, ever-changing and ever-growing, brings us the future we've always imagined. But how did it get to where we are now? And where will it go next? Did you know that you could earn money for finding bugs with Facebook? Do you know the actual meaning of Android? Or how much of the world's currency is digital? Find the answers to these tech questions here. With these tech facts, you'll find interesting tidbits from computers and the internet to gaming gadgets and tech giants such as Google, Apple and Microsoft. So without further ado, here are the top surprising technology facts that you probably didn't know. 25. The government used PlayStation 3s but not for gaming. In 2010, the United States Air Force used 1,760 PlayStation 3 consoles to build a supercomputer for the Department of Defense. They used PS3s because it was more cost-efficient and green. 24. Computer Security Day is celebrated on November 30th. It was started in 1988 to help raise the awareness of computer-related security issues. To celebrate Computer Security Day is easy and important. Check your privacy settings on Facebook, change your passwords to something stronger. You can also read the latest technology facts and make sure your data stored on your phone or in the cloud is secure. 23. The first alarm clock could only ring at one time. Literally, one time. The first mechanical alarm clock could only ring at 4 a.m., invented by Levi Hutchins in 1787. It wasn't until 1876 that a wind-up alarm clock was made that could be set for any time. 22. Steve Jobs used sleight of hand at the first iPhone presentation. The first iPhone presentation happened 6 months before the iPhone was set to hit the market. At that time, the phone was too buggy to use, so Steve Jobs often had to switch phones behind his desk. Otherwise, it would run out of RAM and crash. 21. The majority of the people plug in their USB wrong. 86% of people try to plus in their USB devices upside down. That makes me feel a lot better about getting it wrong every time. 20. The Originals box had sound snippets of real space missions. The Originals box contained edited sound bites from actual transmissions from the Apollo missions. If you left this box on the home screen, eventually you'll hear whispers of conversation, actual chatter from the Apollo mission. 19. Which came first, spam mail or spam meat? Spam mail was named after the canned meat. In a Monty Python skit, they said spam meat was horrible and being ubiquitous and inescapable. Sounds pretty accurate to the annoying junk mail I get. Also, did you know that on average, for every spam email sent, they only get one reply for every 12 million spam emails sent? Is it even worth it at that point? 18. The first computer mouse wasn't made from plastic. Back in 1964, Doug Engelbart invented the first ever computer mouse. Back then, it was made out of wood. It was rectangular and featured a little button on the top right. He called it a mouse because the cord coming out of the back reminded him of the tiny rodents. 17. Mac computers were named after the Apple. It's not a coincidence that Macintosh is similar to the Apples called Macintosh. The name was misspelled on purpose to avoid conflict with a manufacturer called Macintosh Laboratory. 16. There are Amish computers. There are computers specially designed without internet, video, or music capabilities, just for the Amish. The features include word processing, drawing, accounting, spreadsheets, and more, but not much more. 15. GPS is free for some. Even though it is free to use GPS globally, it costs $2 million to operate every day. This money comes from American tax revenue. 14. People read faster or slower depending what they read from. Not only do you blink less when you're on a computer, but reading from a screen also slows you down. On average, people read 10% slower from a screen than from paper. As for the blinking part, did you know that during everyday life, people normally blink at a rate of 20 times per minute? But put them in front of a computer, and that number drops way down to 7 times per minute. 13. Alexa is always listening to your conversations. This probably isn't new to you. Siri has been doing it forever. Alexa stores your dialogue history to its cloud to help improve your Alexa experience. But you can review and delete these recordings, either in bulk or individually. 12. Credit card chips have been around for a long time. To many, credit card chips are a relatively new fad. However, the chip technology has been around since 1986. It was first used in France, followed shortly after by Germany. 11. The first camera needed an incredibly long exposure. The first photograph ever taken in 1826 took 8 hours to expose. The creator of that camera, Louis Daguerre, was able to lower that time drastically to just 15 minutes in 1839. 10. The radio took 38 years to reach an audience of 50 million. You would think the invention of the radio would be a big deal, but it took 38 years for the radio to reach an audience of 50 million. Meanwhile, the iPod only took 3 years to reach the same milestone. 9. Megabytes used to weigh hundreds of pounds. More specifically, 5 megabytes of data weighed 1 ton. In 1956, the first computer had something similar to a hard drive. At the time, it was a huge leap in storage capabilities, but the cabinet that contained the hard drive weighed over 2,200 pounds and could hold 5 MBs of data. 8. Domain name registration used to be free. Way back when people didn't realize how huge the internet would be, registering a domain name was free until 1995. When a fee was introduced, it was high. Prices were typically $100 for 2 years of registration. 7. A petabyte is a lot of data. We all know 1 GB is the same 1024 MB, but did you know that 1 petabyte is equivalent to 1024 terabytes? To give an example of how big this is, a 1 PB hard drive could hold 13.3 years of HD TV video. A 50 PB hard drive could hold the entire written works of mankind, from the beginning of recorded history, in all languages. 6. Samsung is 38 years and 1 month older than Apple. Samsung was founded as a grocery store on March 1, 1938, by Lee Byung-chul. Apple founders Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak created Apple Computer Incorporated on April 1, 1976. 5. The first ever VCR was the size of a piano. When the first VCR, video camera recorder, was made in 1956, it was the size of a piano. Way bigger than I would have guessed. 4. The name for robot has dark origins. If you look into the etymology of robot, it comes from the Czech word robota, which translates to forced labor or work. The word was first used to refer to a fictional humanoid in a play in 1920. 3. Google rents out goats. You read that right, instead of mowing their lawn, Google rents goats to eat the grass at their Mountain View headquarters. A herder will bring 200 goats which are herded by a border collie named Jen. 2. The first Apple logo isn't what you would think. Originally, it featured Sir Isaac Newton sitting beneath a tree with an apple about to fall on his head. It was designed back in 1976 and featured a phrase around the border which read "Newton, a mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought alone." The Firefox logo isn't a fox. There is a common misbelief that because the browser is named Firefox, the logo must be a fox. Surprisingly, the cute furry creature in the logo is actually a red panda.